The Bro Roadshow is starting now. Presented by Razor Ice Augers, Lund Boats, Mercury Marine, Amped Outdoors, Vincota, Humminbird, Ray's Sport and Marine, Fish Armor, Northland Fishing Tackle, Gamakatsu, Sacroy Rods, 7 Reels, Sunline, Aftco, Fish Monkey, live and unfiltered. This is the Bro Roadshow. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us, and this is the spring edition of the Bro Roadshow. Are you having a happy tax day? That's not a happy day. Beautiful day here in northern Minnesota in the 60s with sun and calm. Don't you wish the river was open today for walleyes? It was actually fantastic last night. I want to thank Chesterburg Toyota for their on-air sponsorship. And they have a great dealership, state-of-the-art Toyota. They also have used cars of all different brands, and they do work on cars, really unique body shop and mechanics, the best in the business. Stop in and say hi to Brian and the gang. They have a tire sale. It's buy 3 tires, get 1 free. Great place. Stop in, say hi. Tell them Bro sent you at Chesterburg Toyota in Bemidji. Also, Timberline Sports in Black Duck. The one-stop shop for everything. You can stop in and get bait on your way to Red Lake, Lake of the Woods, the river. Want to get some night crawlers for the sturgeon season. It's one stop, and they have everything you can imagine. You could buy a brand new Sacroy rod. You could buy some Fish Monkey gloves. And you can get loads of crawlers. Not only that, you could buy a gun. You could buy a pizza while you're there. Stop in at Timberline Sports in Black Duck on your way to the border waters. And again, I want to bring on, hey, everybody. All right. UP of Michigan, good to have you. Randy, good to see you. So today it's all you fish heads. It's a fishy show, and I got to say that it's going to be fantastic. Don't miss this. We're going to talk about sturgeon, get into panfish. Sturgeon with Nick Cox and panfish with Jason Charlie Peterson, and they are the cojones of Northland Fishing Tackle as well as other brands. But right now, Nick Cox. Let's bring him on. He's a president of Razor Augers, and also he is a fishy person. He's filmed a lot of different TV shows and fished all over the world. And here's Nick Cox. Can you feel it? Can you feel the sturgeon magic coming on?
I'm feeling it. I was just thinking in my head, what do I like more, giant sturgeon or giant bluegills? And it's really, they're opposite, right? But it's tough toss-up. But yeah, sturgeon's coming up here, so that's going to start up in 10 days or so.
Yes.
And go for a couple weeks, or there's a season up on the Rainy River. I think we're planning to go hit that up for a day, so that should be fun.
Hastings, Minnesota's in the house. Hey, Wendell, and it's going to be a great show. So here's the keep season is April 24th through May 7th. If you want to eat one of them things, that's a big hunk of meat right there. You can keep 145 to 50 inches or over 75. And we're seeing them 70 inchers. Who's going to get the next state record? It's coming. And then it's catch and release May 8th through May 15th. October 1st to April 23rd of next year those are close seasons, I think. Oh, okay. So, yeah, you can't keep them then. But the keep season's the 24th through May 7th. So, Nick, before we go.
Come on, Nick, giant bluegills all day. And that. He's biased. He's bluegill king. So,
well, hey Joseph, hey, good to see you. I tend to love really big bluegills. It's a fleeting thing. Now sturgeon are getting populated. Bluegills are still exceedingly rare. There's a body of water that pops up that has them, but they're still rare. So we got a prize pack before I go too far because I kept forgetting to mention it last week, but we got a cool one. It's Carl's Picks. So. Here's the panfish picks from Carl Adams. He's got a Timberline sports hat. Look at that. That's camoed out. You're going to be styling in the hat and shirt. Plus, there's tungsten, crappie king jigs with all different kinds of pan candy. Look at all the loot. Get ready. You got to like and share. Love and share. We like the hearts. And at the end of the show, we're giving that away to one lucky person. Total random. We're not picking.
That'll be good. Those pan candies, those are nice. Those are nice. we were actually out just the other day out when one of my guys got off the school bus and we went out and I said, what do you want to do? You want to play catch? He said, Dad, do you want to play catch for a little bit? And I said, with the fishing poles and bass? He said, yeah. I said, okay, let's go. So we went out for like an hour and we were throwing that stuff and bass. One crappie. Well,
9-year-old kid that fishes like he's in the Bassmaster. He's just crazy about it.
I know. And I was like, hey, let me take a picture of that one. And I don't know where he got it, bro, but he's like, he starts his picture out and he gets that arm swing. And I'm like, hey, man, it's still a living creature, just gently pick it up. And, his photos, it's up here. It's like this. It's never like this. Or it's just.
So from the ice to the open water, he's ready.
Exactly.
Well, so we know that sturgeon is right here, and it's catch release now, but it's coming up to keep season, and I don't know if I'm going to keep anymore. It's like cleaning a deer. I mean, it's a lot of work doing one of those things, and but they're so much fun. Nick, you had a chance to get some really nice sturgeon. Do you got any pictures?
Yeah, I do. I'm trying to pull one up right here. There we go. That was a nice one from last year. We caught a couple of them that day. That ended up being the bigger one for the day. But I don't know if I have an interest in eating them or anything like that. I am super thrilled that there's such an old fish still living in our waters, and I just think they're so cool to catch, and I love the fight. So I wouldn't be opposed to trying some sturgeon, but it's definitely not what I'm out there for. So anything that I catch, I'm planning to release just so somebody else can go and enjoy that. But there is part of me that is very curious.
Yeah. Hey, Neil, good to see you here. Yeah. And we ate them. They're really, really good to eat. So if you want to do that, that's great. Man, when I'm done sturgeon fishing at the end of the day, I want to stop somewhere and just grab a burger. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That day was hot. You could see that day. That's spring. And that's how it is sometimes. You're out there, you're dressed in the morning, it's cold, and then it's hot and calm. And after you get done catching a sturgeon, it's a lot of fun. And we actually just came back from the river. Heather and I went up there, and we got a couple walleye pictures here because there's proof with pics, and we have them right here. Big chunky walleyes. Yeah, that was 28. 29? It was 28. And you notice I'm not a thin person. I'm thick, and so that fish definitely makes me slimmer. So that's why I was holding it up. It was a beautiful fish, and they have that Lake of the Woods super girth and just a lot of fun. And we caught a ton of fish in that 20s. Here's Heather with about a 24, 25. And we all different sizes, and they're just a good time. Quick pick. We had our camera ready, and even the little ones, you start out and you're like, oh, this is a great one. This is a 23, and then the big ones roll in later. So there's not very many places on earth that you could fish the way you want to all day long. You can drift, you can troll, you can pitch the shoreline. We did it all, and they all bit. So
and I see you're up there in your riverboat in the tiller, so that's always good too.
I love that Lund tiller. I have an old Lund tiller, and it's a boat that's guided its whole existence with someone else that was Paul Nelson's boat, and I turned it into around our area. We have about 2.5 to 3 feet low water, so it's hard to get in. But that one, you can kind of rough it around. You can make it get in. Back up real fast and let her go.
Love that.
So you're getting out and you're fishing in local areas. What's the water temperature? Do you know what it is in the big waters near the Twin Cities?
I haven't been out in the boat yet. We've just been we're hitting Lake Minnetonka backwaters. We're there's some island systems here that are all connected via the mainland, right, via 2 bridges. But back in our neighborhood and areas, we've got just some big ditches and dugout areas that just load up with fish right now. They're only about 1.5 feet, 2 feet deep. So we went there last week, caught a couple, but we went yesterday, and like I said, within 30 minutes, Aiden had 15 bass. And so it's warming up. We checked some of our other spots just that we like to do this little shore stuff in the spring, and there's some deeper water by a bridge, and we saw some flow of water, but we didn't see any fish moving around there. So it just tells me it's still, the main lake is still warming up and getting to where it needs to be, but those warmer spots are definitely holding activity.
Well, and we're right on it. That bass season now, you can fish them year round. You can't keep them now, but it's not like before when you're fishing for them. You can't have intent. Now you can fish for them, and it's that fish. I love them. They fight good, and in the spring, the big secret. Look at those beautiful fish. Is you can actually target them, and they're in big schools sometimes, and it's a finesse thing. It's throwing jig worms, Ned rigs, small spinners,
Yeah.
jerk baits, and it is just a hoot. I'm not one for treble hooks, so I like using finesse little jig worms, and then you catch big crappies. You're throwing a bigger bait now, and you catch crappies fishing for bass, or vice versa. So what a cool season! I had a couple of sturgeon pictures here. I'm going to show up at Lake of the Woods. They've gotten bigger and bigger every year, and there's a lot of fish in that 60-inch category. That's over 60 inches, and you could tell I probably need oxygen right there. You fight the fish, you land the fish, and then you pick it up, and not for the faint of heart. Bring a friend.
Yeah, or if your friend is there, play-by-play commentating on the. Can we hurry this up a little? Can we get a picture of the fish?
Yeah. Well, look at this one. As
That's
you can
giant.
tell in all my pictures, I can't close my mouth because I almost need paddles. I almost need a helicopter to get out of there. And they really, really fight. And you got to use heavy line because you got to horse them a little bit. The faster you get them in, the faster you can throw them back. But they're super solid, really strong fish, and there's
we were using saltwater rods here, St. Croix saltwater rods.
St. Croix makes some great rods. Some get their catfish rods. I was using a jigging rod for jigging cobia and jigging tuna, and and I've got my 7 reel. I got a 5,000 series with a roller handle. And the nice thing is, you could bury it in your arm, and you're fighting this fish. You can pull as hard as you want. And I'm using Gamaketsu hooks. You're not going to break them. They're such a solid steel. The strongest hooks I've ever seen in a sturgeon's mouth, and they're just getting active. Last night we hooked our first sturgeon, but outside of that, when that water gets in the 40s, which after today they're probably just barreling in there, that is going to be a phenomenal fishery here in a few days. So it's well on its way, and so anybody heading up there. Water temperature was 38.7, and it finally hit 39 last night, and today it was a cooker. You're going to see some phenomenal. If you want to jump in those derbies, they got a bunch of derbies. Look up sturgeon tournaments online and find out what's going on.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we want to talk about also, when you're getting out, this is the shore and bridge time of year. I talk about boats. You don't need a boat this time of year. Walleyes, they're in the creeks, they're in the rivers, they're under the bridges, and I have a feeling opener day is not that far away, that they're going to be really close by. But before we go any farther, Nick, we have a pros night. Could you tell people about that?
Yes, it's actually this week. Wow, it's already Wednesday. It's tax day, the 15th. But this Friday at Rice Creek Hunt Club, we've got the Minnesota Fishing Museum and Hall of Fame annual night with the pros, future legends, and legends. So for $40, I believe there's 20 or so tickets. I know that number might be outdated. You might go and try to buy one right now at the minnesotafishingmuseum.com, but you might not be able to get one. They're $40. It includes your dinner. It includes a $20 gift certificate to Reed's. There's all kinds of games, auction items. It's going to be a great time.
That's really cool. Right there in Little Falls. Make the trip, have fun, talk to your favorite pro. Hopefully I'm on the list there somewhere, and it'll be a good time. And so, Nick, I want to thank you again for stopping in tonight, and we'll see you very soon. We'll see you next time. But right now, have a great fishing trip and get those kiddos on the water. Up next, I've got 2 guys that are no stranger to fishing. Charlie and Jace already have won several bass tournaments on the border battles that we have all the time, and they won the Bemidji tournament, which is that's called the Knights Auto Glass tournament, or what, I don't know. It changed names, but that's like the toughest tournament in Minnesota to win because everybody's on the same body of water. It's Charlie and Jace Peterson. They also run Northland Tackle as well as other companies. Come on aboard, guys. How are you doing?
Doing good, bro.
Yeah, thanks for stopping in. I know you guys are super busy, I mean, Jace, you're running 4 companies, aren't you?
Yeah. I actually have Northland under me, Steel Shad Lures, K&E, and then D&J Plastics.
It-
So running around like crazy. I was in Chicago this morning and back in Bemidji today. So
How do you run a schedule like that?
hey, luckily Bemidji has an airport and it can get you to Minneapolis in about 45 minutes. So
That is nice. Yeah, and Charlie, you're the adhesive that keeps things together too there, and just busy. So I'm glad you guys are here, and I want to talk a little bit about spring panfish crappies, which is on the radar. There's still some ice, and it's tough because you can't get to it. I was on Leech Lake here a couple hours ago, just checking the ice situation for everybody here because I got to bring some information. And here's the ice. You can see it right there,
yeah.
right up the shore. But
Yep.
that's paper thin right there. But out there farther, that is a lot of ice right there. Let me get back there. Look at that. As far as
Plenty
I can see. But it's
plenty of
gray,
ice.
and it's white, but you can see underneath it's over a foot right at the broken edge. And
Yeah.
but right now with these kind of temps, it ain't going to last long.
No,
No,
not at
not at
all.
all.
I took
Yeah.
I actually had to drive from Bemidji to Fargo today, so I went through Detroit Lakes. I actually went through Park Rapids as well, and a lot of those lakes were very close. I know tomorrow I think we're in the 70s, so a lot of those lakes will be clear and we'll be ready to go come hopefully the weekend. I saw some cool temps over the weekend, but next week around here anyways should be looking good and I'm excited. I'm excited to get out, do some pan fishing. Like you mentioned with Nick, our bass season, we can legally target them, catch and release season. So that'll be super fun. In the next coming weeks leading up to the walleye season.
Well, and there's some great fishing for bass. Didn't you say, Charlie, you were getting on them last spring every cast, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean we like to I just left here for a second. I don't know if Jay's brought it up, but we actually, targeted some largemouth through the ice about a week or two ago, week and a half ago. And once the ice comes off, those bass are gonna be in the same areas trying to get up into the warm, black bottom bays. So we
Yeah,
haven't got out yet, but like we're itching to go and it's definitely, the most exciting time of the year for us.
I'm so glad that they let you catch and release them because a lot of the people fishing this area are targeting walleyes, and they love
Mhm.
crappies, and they like jumbo perch, bluegills, and they eater fish. But I like something that just bites. I want to just cast and catch fish. And bass this time of year, cold water, slow and repetitive casts. What would you use? What Northland lure would you use? Each one of you. I want to give some people some tips on what to throw for bass. Then we'll get into crappies.
So I'll go first. So right
Yeah.
now, like Charlie said, we like to target like warm water is number one right now. Especially on like a day like tomorrow when it's going to reach into the 70s, those bass will feel it and they'll actually start pushing shallow. And you know the north sides of lakes, south facing banks. That's usually where we start off with. A lot of the times too, actually in the spring, it'll be wind direction, especially sunny days. Whatever shoreline that wind is hitting, we've had multiple times where it seems like, especially on the smaller lakes, all the fish in the lake will be stacked up on that side of the lake. As for lures, I personally like a smeltinator this time of year. Just a nice solid quarter ounce jig head. I actually put like an eye candy grub that catches. You mentioned it earlier. You catching big crappies while you're bass fishing too. That catches big crappies this time of year as well as largemouth bass. So
Absolutely. And you, Charlie?
The perfect thing would be, the eye candy paddle shad, just throwing that around, a little swim bait around on a smeltinator head or a round ball head. Before they get a chance to move up shallow, they'll move up as fast as they can. But if before that, a little Ned rig, throwing in those same spots that we were, you're fishing through the ice, right vertical on them, but it doesn't take long for me to pick up, the frog and try to catch one.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
I like
I was
that.
gonna say I've seen Charlie force a frog bite before the water temps get above 50 degrees, and a northern Minnesota bass will still eat a frog less than 50 degrees.
I
it's one
love
of
that.
the
That's
best
great.
parts about having the ice come and leave is all those fish are so willing to bite once the ice is gone, whether that's walleyes, panfish, or bass. Like it starts all over, and they're kind of dumb, and it's definitely the most. It's a blast.
Cool. We got Mike Maxton. Good to see you. He's a tournament winner there in Canada, and Kale, and of course the Bears here, and then Southwest Florida. Good to see you. Thanks for
I saw an
dropping in.
Okeechobee there.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. So we're talking about the bass season in Minnesota. Now you're allowed to fish for them this time of year. So when you're crappie fishing, you see them breaking the surface, you could throw for them. And we used to catch them on super light stuff, but now you could actually pack for bass. And I like using real light tackle. That's the thing about panfish is I got this little Legend Elite rod, but I like these little hair jigs, and they got a little flashable in them. And they'll make them look even better. Every time you catch a fish on it, they mess it up, but it looks better and better. And of course, waxy, a little waxy on there if you want scent. But there's something super fun about spring fishing. You don't need much. Everything's real light, easy to carry, and of course, you could fish in a boat or you could fish some places offshore. There's a little waxworm. It's ready to be used here. I'm
Bro
ready.
just has those. Bro just has a stash of those in his pocket.
I'm
Yeah, in
He's
ready.
his
ready to
pocket.
go at all times.
You're darn right. And keep one right in your mouth right here, and then you're ready to go. You can, yeah. But anyway, yeah, good to see all these big dogs in the house. Kind of cool. Yeah. So we're also thinking about crappies and what's new. What's on the scene for crappies?
Oh, I just saw you held one up. Charlie held one up from Northland Fishing Tackle this spring. We got a tungsten crappie queen. That's that guy right there. Little dressed jig on a tungsten crappie king head. That comes in a 16th ounce and an eighth ounce. So right now, when those fish are still, not totally pushed up, they might be still relating to cabbage that was alive last year. I'll use that eighth. But then once they get up in those black bottom bays, like we've talked about for the bass, the crappies and panfish go in there as well. I'll use that on a 16th ounce. Another new one from Northland Fishing Tackle is a tungsten panfish jig.
Oh,
Little
nice.
different than the tungsten crappie king jig. We actually have a wire keeper on that, so
Love it.
holds your. I got some eye candy here rigged up on one. So
Nice.
super nice to keep that plastic on there nice and snug, doesn't come off. And then pan candy we released last spring. It was kind of a late addition, but there's 5 different shapes in the pan candy line, very similar to the eye candy line. It's got that TPE technology, super durable. I mean, we've all been there before where those little bluegills are grabbing your tail and ripping the tail. That won't do that. Super durable. Like I said, same thing with the eye candy technology is it comes in a tray. So if you want to add your own scent, bro, I know you love to add squid
Oh, yes.
type scent. You can actually add that into that little package, and the TPE soaks it up. You can come back 30 minutes later, and that tray will be completely dry, but it'll be infused into that TPE plastic. So yeah, 5 different shapes. One of my favorites is a minnow. That's a little minnow there. Perfect for
Love it.
crappies. Another one of my favorites is actually the larvae bug. It's kind of got a tube type profile. I actually have that on a little stand up jig right there. But it's got
Nice.
wings. You've had Sam Larson on this show before. He actually designed that little shape. I love that shape. Like I
That
said, looks like a little tube, and it's got 2 little tails at the end too to be very enticing of a
wow.
little bug.
Let me tell you something. That one for perch has been amazing. When the perch are going nuts, and you got them big schools in June, July, even in September, that is in every cast kind of bait. I like how these are in a tray. So all these
Yep.
little pan candies, and you can see how little they are. You just put a little drop in each. Well, you just do one drop because you don't know what they're going to like the best. Try different scents. and then hook them on. That is pretty cool right there.
Man, that pen candy grub, I swear we talk about it every podcast, but it's a sleeper shape in the lineup. It's not
Look at us.
it's not like a normal old school grub. It's a little bit different, and it's crazy how many fish that thing catches.
Well, and you can see that thing. It's just and it's super soft, but it's that wonder stuff. This is some high tensile industrial strength kind of stuff, but definitely going to be on there along. But I do love that Flashaboo jig, and this is what it looked like before I destroyed it catching fish on it. Nice and perfect fur, but every time you catch a fish, it gets messed up and you catch more. So when do you do plastics versus hair? I mean, so when people are out there, what are they going to rig up? They're going to have two rods, plastic and hair. When do you go with each one?
Man, I mean, I can start off with that. Like you said, I have two rods of each. I usually start with the plastics. I love the plastics aspect of it. One thing that we actually didn't hit on is the pan candy does float too. So with that little minnow, whether you're putting it, or all the shapes, whether you're putting it under a bobber or just casting and retrieving it, that's going to stay perfectly horizontal, just like that, just like your live bait. But man, bro, I usually start with plastics, and then I'll downsize from there, just because usually if it's a tougher day, they'll still bite hair because of how sleek, that little crappie queen gets. Or we have the tungsten crappie king. That's more of a feathered profile, but it's just super sleek design, a little more subtle. And then if it's really tough, then I'll go to your special wax worms. I'm not putting in my mouth like you are, but
You gotta have them. You just sit there.
I'll let the fish put them in their mouth.
Yeah,
I'll-
it's like chewing on a piece of straw right there, a soft piece of straw.
That's right.
I'll put the meat on the crappie queen or the crappie king, and then just go ahead and put a plastic on the panfish jig there. So then you get the best of both worlds. You're utilizing the queen and the king, but tipping it with meat. And then I'll also rig that up on a bobber. We got the new scope float
Love it.
that just launched. Funny story, when we had to fish for panfish before the bass season started, you'd get bass trying to eat the scope float.
Top
They're-
water.
Like a
we're
top
fishing
water.
for bluegills, and that the bass are ready to go because they're eating the scope float on the surface. So had that
Yep.
happen many times.
That's a good reason
Reminds
to
me of
use
the redfish, right? The redfish popper. That's kind of what they were doing.
that's funny. It's crazy when it's like that. I like pitching. I'm sure you guys do. You pitch around, even if you could see them. You got to make sure they're crappies and not something else, or bass or whatever you're targeting. But when you're working those fringe areas that warm up faster, they're usually absolutely loaded with micro minnows, all kinds of minnows.
Mhm.
There's some lakes are naturally weedy. Some lakes have boat harbors if they're bigger. Some lakes have creek mouths. All of those seem to hold fish. And have you ever caught them out of an extraordinary spot not that most people never fish for crappies, anything like that?
And I think some stuff that gets overlooked early, everyone wants to race to the backs of the bays. Like, I mean, we've brought it up 3-4 times now. Same with boat harbors. I think a spot or areas that do get overlooked, especially right when ice gets off the lakes, is your vegetation that's still alive. 6 to 12 foot cabbage that's still alive. Cut them in the reeds right after ice off. But 4 feet of depth in those reeds, 3 feet of depth. One thing I wanted to mention too is, if Charlie mentioned a bobber, if I'm ever fishing a bobber for panfish, that's when I do like to use a live bait, whether that be wax worms or like a crappie minnow. But sometimes when those fish get so shallow, that bobber tends to spook them. And that's when I'll just go down to a 16th ounce jig, throw it in there, and try to make the school, catch one, get it away from that school, so I don't spook the whole school with that bobber splash. It's trying to be less intrusive. But to answer your question, bro, I think something that gets overlooked is vegetation that's still alive, that's not in that super shallow. Once those fish start feeling that heat, they're gonna move. But if we still have, like this weekend, it's supposed to be cold. That's where I would look this weekend if I was going out.
Oh, that's fantastic advice. And I want to remind everybody what we have. We have Carl's panfish kit here. Carl from Timberline Sports, and he's got a panfish kit here, all set up for you. Check it out. Stylish hat, t-shirt, and his picks on the same stuff we're talking about right now from Timberline Sports and Carl's panfish picks. Get this, like, share, and you'll be in to win. All right. So outside of that, I've had a few times where I've really done well fishing crappies on rocks, especially in the Arrowhead. You get on the edge of the iron ore areas, and the lakes have rocks, and their weeds are dead. You ever catch them on rocks?
Man, I actually haven't experienced that bite before, but obviously rocks heat up fast too, right? It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I haven't either. A lot of times it doesn't take long for them to go to the dead reeds, the dead cattails, and to any wood that's any trees that are laying down into the water. That's a lot of times where they're spawning, but it doesn't take them very long to get from ice out to the back of the bays to different spots where they're gonna spawn.
And do you see a difference in our area? We're kind of in the north, and we got crappies out to the west towards Otter Tail. They got, like, every lake there is full of crappies, but all the way down to the Mississippi. And I've been there and done walleye tournaments on pool 3, 4, all the way down to 7. And I'm amazed at the crappie fishing there. That's giant water. You can see the other side because it's a river. But if you look at the acreage from one pool to another pool, that's giant water.
Yeah, no, giant water with all sorts of fish, whether that be crappies, panfish, obviously the walleyes, bass. We keep bringing up bass, but being on pool 4 right now, pool 5, pool 6, 7, 8, that'd be one of my favorite things to do. Would be to bass fish right now down on that water.
It's
Getting
it's
the back
really
of the
cool.
creeks and whatnot. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Hey, Mike, thanks for joining us. It's unbelievable the opportunities we have in Minnesota here, and then even I'm here, so I hear the reverberation from Lake of the Woods, and how many crappies are starting to show up in the walleye areas and just floating around out there in the wintertime, and even for people in the river. And it's not huge numbers, but they're big fish, and it's pretty amazing. Somebody's going to find their home and where they're at, and they get them off some of the resort docks there. But crappies, their numbers seem to be on the rise now, and in a matter of time, they're all going to be big. But there's a whole lot of, would you say, 10, 11-inch crappies up in the northern part here?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, even 12 inchers, but then there's that next year class, the 14s and 15s that we see. Say I saw one question ask about what the difference is between the tungsten crappie king and the panfish jig. So the tungsten crappie king jig, if you can guys see it there, it's a smaller hook without a plastic keeper. This was primarily built for your live bait applications to be put under a bobber. Tip it with a panfish, or a crappie minnow, excuse me, or a waxworm, and then that panfish jig has a little bit oversized hook to fit your pan candy soft plastics, and then that bait keeper as well. And then we have the two different dress jigs, the tungsten crappie king and then the tungsten crappie queen. The queen is a little different hair to it, kind of that flashaboo type look that Bro was talking about earlier. And then the king is hair. So two different options there, two different looks.
Love
The-
that barb.
The way I look at it is the tungsten crappie king fly is like the upgraded firefly, and the queen is the gypsy jig. So it has that, similar tinsel as the gypsy jig, and the king is more like the firefly.
The gypsy's a legend of the past, and there's two of them right there. But the one Jace had there with that barb, I love barbs to keep your plastics and your bait, and it keeps your plastics from sliding. Like, yeah, it's perfect. It's like a
snaps
belt
back. Yep.
for someone's pants. I mean, like I might need once in a while there. But that works really well. And Flashaboo reflects light all the time, and the Crappie King fly is what would you say, chicken feather hackle or whatever?
Exactly. Yep.
And that's a natural protein there, and it's the fish can sense it. But both of them, they really move. They undulate in the water, and just adding a little meat, pretty cool stuff. But in the crappie world itself, if you dive into the tournaments, they don't mess around. Every little tiny detail, and I think Northland is ahead of the curve in the whole crappie world. Wouldn't you say? You get to see it all, Chase, when you're traveling all around the country.
The assortment that Northland has right now, whether that be the dress jigs, the tungsten jigs, the lead jigs. Charlie mentioned the gypsy jig and the firefly, two really great jigs. The tungsten versions are kind of upgraded versions. We have, like I said, 16th and 8th ounce, very small profile. And then the Pan Candy soft plastics, mentioned earlier, we have 5 different shapes, comes in 8 colors, so you can pick and choose whether you're fishing stained bodies of water, clear bodies of water. On the dress jigs, we actually have some glow type colors in there too, whether you're fishing low light or just stained bodies of water. So yeah, a large assortment. Charlie brought up the scope float, but we also have light bite bobbers, whether that be a slip bobber or a clip-on bobber. Very large assortment when it comes to crappies and bluegills, panfish, perch, whether you're fishing them right now in 8 to 12 feet of water. I saw someone said, "Don't forget about the first break." That's kind of what I meant by that when you're leading into a black bottom bay, they'll should be staged right in front of that, getting ready to go up and spawn. Great first spot to look at before they move up there. But yeah, no, Northland has a very large assortment when it comes to panfish right now.
And crappies are one of the biggest sought after fish in the United States. Bass are giant and everything, but sometimes it's those food fish, and that's a food fish, just like perch. Perch is so popular. There's still people trying to get on the ice to get some perch around here. We're in the perch triangle here, and that doesn't exist everywhere. Jumbo perch, you hear about Green Bay had a big flare up in Mille Lacs and stuff, and there's some giant perch without having to fly or drive way out west to some mountain lake. We're starting to get some really giant perch, and we're seeing fish over 2 pounds. Devil's Lake broke a state record. So everything seems to be getting bigger and bigger. I don't know what angling hours are up to, but it seems like we got a lot. They're getting pressure, but in the wintertime, you can't always get on them. It's a lot of work, a lot of drilling, but it's super exciting because right now, I'd say our ice, if we get a couple more days like this, one rain, we're gonna be able to launch a boat. And I've been in our area. There's some accesses you're going to the spot, and people are fishing where you're launching. Out west, you get the Park Rapids and Otter Tail on down to Artie's country down there in the southwest, Big Stone and all that. There's a lot of places, so many places. If a guy just had more time.
Exactly. Yeah. Not enough time. Too many places. We live in such a good zone, bro. Northern Minnesota.
You going down, both of you, to fish tournaments on Big Stone?
We fished a bass tournament there last fall, late September, and the weights were really good. They were really good in a Minnesota bass tournament standpoint. They were down a little bit from years prior, but it still took 23 pounds to win. 5-6 pounders weighed in. We were focused obviously on the bass, but we took one big run down the lake one day, and there was 2 different areas that were pretty loaded with fishermen catching bluegills, and I think they were targeting perch too. Yeah, right. But no, it was cool to see. We were sticking to the bank and and people are out in the lake catching fish. So I have not actually been there though to target the big gills. That's a bucket list trip for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things to find the time, but it's a truly successful lake and bluegill stocking, and they
Mhm.
seem to be resilient and they're holding up. And the place is kind of a little oasis. You're driving through
Yeah,
farm country, you get away from that western area with all the lakes, and you get there, and it's flat farm country, and you go into this valley, and there's trees. It's gorgeous there. There's turkeys and deer everywhere. It's kind of a
yep,
little oasis on the border of South Dakota, and I always enjoy fishing. We fish there every year in the spring. It's on our hit list here coming up in the next 2 weeks, but it's hard to put down the walleye baits, but
that's right.
I'm gonna have to fish the crappies when I get there. Thanks for joining us, Mike. And also, like and share. We got a prize package here. Carl put together a little panfish kit from Timberline Sports. Stylish hat, stylish shirt, tungsten, panfish king, and there's a whole bunch of swag there. Check it out, like and share. We're giving it away at the end of the show. And then a quick note: the St. Croix event of the year, the second annual opener of the in-store event. It's on the April 25th. Bros. So I'll be giving a seminar. Joel Nelson and also Blake Tollefson. Stop in April 25th, the factory store at St. Croix. We're going to have all kinds of Northland stuff there, so make sure to stop in and make a day of it. Come over to Park Falls, Wisconsin.
Bro,
So,
are you gonna pull your boat over there?
I'm not going to pull
Stop
my
along the
boat.
way.
I brought it right after I owned it, and now it's starting to look like a dock boat. It's it doesn't get much rest, and it's still a big, beautiful boat. But I don't know if I'm going to bring it there. I do like doing seminars from the boat. It's real comfortable, and I feel like I'm fishing when I'm doing it. But that event's really cool because it's the rods and the reels, and I just got some of the GX series spinning reels in the 750, and they're small and just perfect for jigging under the boat for walleyes or panfish. I'm super excited about it to start putting them on. And when you're using braid is so thin. I've got sunline braid, but for panfish, I throw the 8-pound. I mean, that can't even be a half-pound diameter. It's so thin, and so if it's windy, you can still pitch farther than you need to, and just throw a leader on there in some cases. But that's what I'm using. But when you're fishing for crappies, expect everything else to bite on these lures. And
Oh yeah.
do you guys bring minnows? Are minnows done with, or do you bring them?
I still tend to grab I'll grab a scoop of crappie minnows or fatheads, and I'll definitely have them along. It's kind of the last resort type of thing, but I'll make sure not to leave home with some live bait anyways.
When I got a
Yeah,
couple picks here, go ahead, Charlie. We'll bring
I was
some.
just gonna say, yeah, you don't want to be out there and there's fish right there, and you tried everything and you can't catch them, and you didn't bring minnows.
Yeah, you got to let one soak once in a while.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And you put it on the same stuff, like the crappie king is just looks like it'd be perfect for a live minnow to swim around on. But I got a couple pictures of crappies that I caught on Pan Candy right here. These are, and you guys probably know the lake because you could tell by how giant they are. And they just love the Pan Candy and the crappie king. These are fish. If I take a picture, usually 14 to 16 inches, and they're not every fish is like that, but those are beautiful. And
Nice.
Heather, you can see it's a little darker. That's like a male, not quite total ready for spawn, but getting close. Probably shopping weed beds, getting ready to fan out a nest. And so early in the spring, what are the crappies doing there? Do you think it's just warm water, or what's bringing them in to those shoreline black bottom areas?
I mean, I think shoreline. I mean, in the springtime, whether it be for walleyes, crappies, bluegills, bass, it's all about water temp. to me anyways. I'll always look for the warmest water, and I mean it could be a degree or two difference from one bay to another, and the bay that's got a little bit warmer water will have more fish in it than the other one. When we're right on that breaking point, right? Later in the season, it's not going to matter quite as much. But that's what's pushing those fish shallow. They're thinking, they want to be warm. They're just like us. They don't want to be cold any longer. So they're going up there for the warmth, and then ultimately to spawn around those areas as well.
Yeah, I think the spawn is their ultimate goal, and that's what they're got on their minds.
Yeah, and they have transitions. I've seen it even on some of the large lakes that we fished here not too long ago. We did a photo shoot. How they transition, but they don't go far. Where
Yep.
they're at on the ice is usually visually a straight line to somewhere they're going to go to. But during a cold front, do they leave the shallows? Do they hunker on the bottom? Or do they return back out to the deep water? What's your guys' throw on that?
I mean, my take on it would be they're going to go to that. One of the viewers here brought up the first break line. They're just going to retreat back to that first break line and hunker down there. I assume that there would be some sort of vegetation there for them to sit in. And that's where the bait fish is going to go. They're just going to retreat back to that first break and then wait for that warm water to warm back up, and it'll bring them up there. One thing, especially in the spring, is you don't have to be early to the boat ramps. The fish are actually going to bite better in the evenings.
Did you hear that, Jeff Ginter? We don't get up early. I mean, we get up early, but you don't have to be at the Axis at 5 up here.
Not when it comes to spring panfish right now.
We're
for
still eating
those
breakfast at 9.
Wait for those areas to warm up, and wait for them to get there, and then go catch them. But if I was to start in the morning, start on that first break line where there's hopefully some vegetation still alive from the previous fall.
I like that. That's great. What do you think, Charlie?
I think if I was Bro, I would turn my Mega Live on and see which direction they went.
It's fun following them, isn't it? It's there's a little bit of this and that with the forward viewing, but if it's on the boat, and I'm using it, the day goes fast because you see all kinds of stuff all over the place, and they're not all perfect ones. All right, I gotta show you. I got a question from Lauren Durr. Good to see Lauren's here. That guy is a fishy guy, and I mean in a good way. He's got big everything, and he fishes around here. But here's a sink, a 7 reel. That's 8.1 to 1 turn. So that thing speed fishes. And then here's the reel that Lauren's question: what kind of reel to use? This is a 750 GX. So it's silver, but that's actually not a very big reel. You can see in my hand here. Perfect panfish reel, and I just got those. I've always used the GS, and they're pretty much bulletproof. You can see on this little panfish series, but that GX, I am so excited about that. And then this, all you sturgeon heads, get ready. It's here. We've got the 7 reels in the big Magnum. I'm going to reel that fish off the bottom reel, and I love that. It's a saltwater reel, but that's one of them, and there's one even bigger here. I couldn't find it.
Bro's going from one extreme to the other.
Yeah, bro.
Panfish reel to a sturgeon reel.
What kind of line do you have on your panfish setup? What do you usually have?
Well, this one I always run braid in the spring, and then I have fluorocarbon leader, and so I'll use like a Sunline leader material. So the leader material is pure fluorocarbon. And any abrasion or zebra mussels, you're not going to have to worry about breaking line. You hook a 2-pound crappie, and then you get a 5-pound bass. You're going to be okay. You're just going to be worn out. And I seen you guys fishing crappies one time, and it seemed like the bass were interrupting your crappie fishing every single cast, and you didn't look like you're unhappy about it. And now we can fish for them. So
that's right.
Real exciting, and we talked about that earlier in the show. But so bluegills, do you guys actually do you go anywhere and fish bluegills in the spring? Let's talk a little bit about those big pie plate bluegills.
I mean, most of the lakes around here are very even with crappies to bluegills, right? The ratio wise, we're finding bluegills in the same general area um, where we're catching crappies in the springtime, whether that be up in the shallow bays in a harbor or whatnot. So we're finding them in the same places. I'll pretty much stick to the same presentations. I brought up crappie minnows and fatheads earlier. I'll actually like fatheads when I'm targeting primarily bigger crappies, or just to make sure those little 5 and 6 inch bluegills don't eat my bait and leave it there for a big crappie to grab.
What do you think, Charlie?
You kind of brought it up earlier. Just fishing from shore. A lot of times I think of this time of year as just fishing panfish from shore. A lot of times our goal is to get our boat and our gear ready by walleye opener and bass opener. So a lot of times as we're focusing on that, we can get out, access a lake through a trail through the woods or close to the road, different bridges and stuff like that. So a lot of times when I think spring panfish, I think about fishing from shore, maybe in waders, and that's what I like to do.
Yeah,
For
our
spring
area
panfish.
is blessed with a lot of bridges. You guys got the Mississippi River running through your backyard from Bemidji, and it comes all the way from Itasca Lake. But all of those bridges, not all of them have the fish we're targeting, but some of them do. And and there's some access points, and there's some that still haven't been discovered yet. But there are places where people catch panfish offshore and off bridges or off docks.
Culverts.
Yeah.
Culverts are a good spot.
Yep.
That's one thing. Red Lake is one of these big shallow lakes that has a lot of ditches and culverts coming out of it. And do you ever check any of those for big crappies, or do you fish Red Lake at all?
I haven't tried it ever in the spring, bro. But I've actually heard stories, not so much the crappies, but the big northern pike that will go in those ditches and be, half a mile from the lake trying to spawn in those ditches. And whenever, your opening day, been there numerous times, going to launch in the Tamarack River, and you're always like the main road there, you're going by one of the ditches, and I'm always looking to see if there's any northern pike spawning in there. But I personally have not fished Red Lake in the spring in the last 10 years. When that first big boom was there, fished it in the spring, but that was all on the lake.
Well, and there's Leech Lake River. We don't talk about that one, but that's a good spot there. Thanks for joining us there, Buck. And but really, really good spot. As far as crappie spots, most of them are known. Some lakes get left alone, but I mean, I could tell you lakes all night long where there's nice crappies up here. They're just about all have nice crappies, and a lake will flare up and bite during the ice, and then it gets known and it gets hit. But they'll come back. Bluegills are a little different. You take out the big male bluegills, anything over 9 inches, and your lake will suffer because of it. So keeping 8-inch class fish, under 9. Some people say 10, but that's not real generous. 9, keep them under 9.
Yeah.
And it's different here than it is in the Mid-South or down south or Iowa or even Big Stone. Up here, our bluegills are so old, and so when you get a good flare up of big bluegills, have a ball. You could eat them, just don't eat the big ones. And the Panfish Initiative, the Quality Panfish Initiative, I think really is helping the state. And some lakes, just to preserve the panfish, we have limits on lakes that are 5. So Leech Lake is a crappie 5 limit. And so when you're on there, just remember that if anybody's going to that 110, 15,000 acre lake, it's 5. And there's a reason that there's a small percentage to that lake that has crappies. It's mainly a perch walleye lake, but it does have crappies. But you're not going to catch crappies on Pelican Island. You're not going to catch crappies by Goose Island. That's all hard bottom sand. So they're in small areas, and it is a 5 limit, not a 10. And just saying, some people are thinking it's 10. So make sure to get a syllabus and look it up. And it might be different from your statewide, but you can't take them in the same day. But outside of that, the bluegills, protecting the bluegills and dropping some of the limits. It's on lakes that might be getting damaged or over harvested, and it's in there. And so cool things from the quality bluegill initiative, and then some of the crappie limits. And in the deep south, a 12-inch crappie could be 2 years old. Up here, they're 9 to maybe 12 years old, and then if you get a 16, I had like a 2-whisker goatee back then, and so be cautious with those panfish schools. But always good to talk to you guys. And so, Jace, real quick, tell the tournaments you have won, and you and Charlie have won the walleye tournament in Bemidji, a real tough one, and that one's a city auto glass. Or
That's a Knights of Columbus now. That's the walleye tournament, the second Saturday in June. Charlie and I were fortunate to win that a couple years ago. Caught all of our fish on a stand-up fireball jig with a shiner, and our 2 big ones actually came on a bobber and a leech. It's the same format now that it was then. So you had to catch 3 unders, 3 under 20 inches, and 2 over 20 inches. So our big fish came on a bobber and a leech, and then our small, I shouldn't say small, 19 and a half inchers, we're all on a jig and shiner. Fortunate to win a couple bass tournaments up on Rainy Lake. Won one with my Uncle John and my dad, and then just some local stuff around the state, chasing largemouth and smallmouth.
Well, those ain't pushover tournaments. The Bemidji one, people come from all over the place, and it's daunting to look at the sea of boats at takeoff. All these tricked out boats and all these tricked out fishermen that is the patch club with all the patches all over, and all these glass, and even some small boats. There's always some little tiny lunds and glass boats in that one, but that is really cool. And then the one at the border, there's national touring pros from this side and national and provincial touring pros on that side. It's not easy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's multiple day tournaments, and it's hard to put together 2 good bags of smallmouth. And Bro fishes that one. He fished it last year with Nick, right?
Yeah, I fished with Nick. Heather will be back in, but she was ill during the time, so she gave him said you represent me, and he did well and caught a big fish on day 2. Not easy, but always fun. Charlie, Jace, thanks for coming on, and I'm going to do a giveaway here. So let me, before I do, I want to talk about, there's a cabin for rent on the north end of Leech Lake. And Heather, she knows about, there's my creative marketing lady.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Yes, the old Maple Leaf, where I met this fellow 32 years ago. My folks have a couple cabins, and to get more information, it's got a view of the lake, beautiful Leech Lake. Contact 850-773-1033, or just get a hold of Bro and I, and we can
850-773-1033 for a cabin on Leech Lake.
It's a beautiful
right
place.
Across from the access.
That's where I grew up and where I met Bro. All right. And I actually have the winner in my hand.
Oh, okay. You got the winner?
Right.
She's passing the winner. So here we go. And before I announce the winners, I want to thank Chesterburg Toyota for sponsoring the on-air show. And they have a tire sale right now. Buy 3, get 1 free. Stop into Chesterburg, say hi to Brian and the gang. And great place. Buy a new Toyota. Buy a used car. Get your car fixed. Get your oil changed. Chesterburg Toyota. Then Carl Adams and Timberline Sports. And for on your way to the Red Lake, Black Duck, anywhere up north, Lake of the Woods, stop into Timberline, get some bait, get some fishing gear, sage advice, buy a pizza, buy a gun, buy a bow. Stop in at Timberline Sports. Thanks for them. And then Brooke Drace, my producer. Thank you, Charlie and Jace. Nick Cox for all his wisdom. And remember, he likes the razor holes, and so do I. The winner is Brandon Thomas. So, Brandon Thomas, you won the loot. I hope you got a big tackle box. Get ready. Brandon Thomas Meenan. So, Brandon Thomas Meenan. Okay. So, make sure to get your address in. You got to claim your prize tonight or you don't get it. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. See you next Wednesday. All right. That's a wrap on the Bro Roadshow Live. Special thanks to Chesterburg Toyota and Timberline Sports and Convenience for the on-air support, along with all the other partners behind the scenes. If you're with us, follow along and share it. I'm Bro. We'll see you next time.